Hi guys. Hello, hello. Hi everyone. Hi guys. I'm gonna give everyone a couple more minutes and then we'll start. So in the meantime, just make sure you have all your supplies and a participation requirement, a green beverage of your choice. Cheers. Yes, and in the meantime, you can just say hi and where are you from in the live chat here, and then we'll start in a couple of minutes. Green cheesecake, that's nice. Yay. Happy birthday to all who celebrate today. All right, guys, one more minute and then we'll start. I'm just gonna make sure no one is struggling to get in. And if anyone is trying to get in but can't figure out how, hopefully I can direct people. Yay, you're in. That's good. Good, good, good. All right, it is 7:05, so I think it's good to start. Welcome, guys. Welcome, everyone. If we haven't met before, my name is Vera. I'll be your instructor for tonight. And this is our painting. So we're going to have beers. We're going to have some greenery, some clover leaves, and we're going to have our pot of gold, of course, and a rainbow. So everything that we need for today, except of no gnomes today. So before we start, let's go through all our supplies and make sure we have everything that we need for today. First thing you're going to need is a canvas, which reminds me, I need a canvas. So I will be using this big one. It's 16 by 20 inch, but you can use any size. If you want to go smaller size, go for it. It doesn't have to be that big. Or you can always use paper or cardboard or actual wood board. If you have one, that will work as well. Next thing we're going to need is water. So make sure you have that. And we're going to need a palette or something to mix our paint on. We are going to need a piece of paper towel as well. So grab that. And we're going to need a pencil. So if you have a pencil, grab it. If not, that's okay. You can always sketch with paint, but it is better if you have a pencil. So grab a pencil. And of course, we're going to need brushes. I will be using my standard set of 3 brushes, large, medium, and small. So I'll be using large square brush, medium square brush, and a small detailed brush. And of course, we're gonna need paint. I will be using, as always, primary colors only, which is yellow, red, blue, plus black and white. And I'll be mixing them into all this. So all the greens, browns, rainbow colors, and so on. However, if you guys have primary colors plus brown and green, that would be super helpful. That way you don't have to mix them. You can use them pre-mixed, but if not, that's okay too. We can always mix them together. Yes, happy St. Paddy's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. All right, so let me tell you how we're gonna do this. We're gonna start with a sketch, actually. We're gonna sketch, but not everything. We're not gonna sketch most of the things. The only things that we're actually going to sketch are the beers. So we're gonna sketch our beers here. Just a little bit. Again, it doesn't have to be a precise sketch, but it is better if we sketch them. And why are we going to sketch them first? Because they have somewhat of complex shape. So we want to give ourselves ability to make mistakes. We can always, for example, we could have done background first and then sketched beers much later on top of the background. But if we do that, we're not going to be able to erase our lines. So that's why we're going to do our beers first. That way, if you don't like our lines, you can erase them, you can redo them, you can perfect them, you can do whatever you want with them and take your time on it. And only when you're happy with the shape of your beer mugs, only after that are we going to move on to the actual painting. So once we sketch our beer, we're going to move to the background and we're going to do our brown wood board looking background. After that, we're going to move on to coloring elements. There are going to be a lot of elements here. So again, we're going to start with beers. We're going to start coloring our beers and we're going to do that in 3 colors. So we're going to use light green, we're going to use dark green, and we're going to use white. Then we're going to add all those leaves around and the rainbow. So as you can see, rainbow doesn't go underneath my mugs or my leaves. It kind of works around it. So we'll add our leaves kind of swirling around and then a rainbow and a pot of gold. Once we have all those elements, we're going to start adding black outline to all of them and white highlights. And that's how it's going to be done. And again, you guys can customize it. If let's say you want a different shape beer mugs, go for it. If you want a different shape pot of gold, go for it. If you want to have more clover leaves, less, that's totally fine. Again, everything is customizable. And another customizable thing, instead of brown wooden background, you can make it black and white. That will look really, really nice. It's just going to look more like a bleached or maybe stained wood. All right, so grab your canvases and your pencils. And we're going to start with our beer mugs. But first, we're actually going to identify where the middle of our canvas is. So we don't start and run out of space for the second one. So we need to know where the middle is. And right now, we're going to put just like a little line or dot or something. This is just for us to know that this is the middle. That way, we're going to position one mug on one side, one mug on the other side. All right, so as you see, I have this little mark in the middle, just for me to know what's where. Now, I'm going to start with this mug, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put one line. It's going to go right in the middle of the mug for me to know the direction of it. Again, so because I don't want to end up with a lopsided beer mug. I don't want my beer mug to look like it's was thrown out by manufacturer because it wasn't the right shape. I want it to be the right shape, the one that can stand on the table and not fall. So that's why anything that you want the right shape, you have to start with the middle line. So I'm going to put a middle line right here. This is just for me to know that this is my middle line. You see right here, lightly. Now I'm going to add the round on the top and the bigger round on the bottom. So I'm going to And again, we're doing all this with pencil because we want to be able to adjust it. So if something goes wrong, we just erase it and we'll redo it. Not a big deal. And once we have that, we're going to add the sides. So we're going to connect. All right, I'm gonna have a massive mug, which is fine with me. I have no problem with that. If you want it a bit smaller, you don't have to make the difference as big between the top and the bottom. You can make it straighter in a way. That way, you just make your lines a bit straighter. It's going to be a straighter mug. In my case, it's going to be a massive mug of beer. And then I'm going to add the handle. I'm going to start by putting just one line, and then so I'm going to put one line first. And then I'm going to go and add second line. Here is my very big beer mug. And then I can erase this middle line here. I don't need it anymore. And instead of that, I'm adding a couple other lines. So I'm going to add a couple slots like that. This is just the design on my beer mug. All right, and after that, I want to sketch the beer pouring out. So this part. Do you see where the beer is pouring out? So that's what we're going to add. Okay, so I'm going to add it on an angle. So do you see this on an angle? This is, I'm going to go horizontal here. And of course, it's going to go over this edge too. And now, once I have this, I can erase this section as well, so it doesn't confuse me. All right, my beer number 1 is ready. Now I'm gonna move to my beer number 2, and I'm gonna do the exact same way, just on the other side. You see, this is my middle, right? I've got really close to the middle here, but not exactly. So the only difference between both of my mugs is going to be, one of them is gonna be lower, one of them is going to be higher. So the second one I need to put is either a little bit higher or a little bit lower, just so they are not exactly on the same level. It makes it more interesting to have them one a bit higher, one a bit lower. So I'm going to go a little higher. And again, I'm going to start with a middle line. If you want them exactly the same, you can actually measure how tall was this line originally. And in my case, it was exactly the height of a pencil. So this one, I'm going to make exactly the height of a pencil. If I want them the same height. If not, it doesn't really matter. And after that, you're going to put either rounds or the sides. Doesn't matter again. I'll put 2 lines actually first. I'm going to add rounds for the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to add sides again. I'm going to make it a little lower. All right, so again, I have a base. Now I'm going to add the handle. One side and the other side. And I'm going to add the design, so those slots. And of course, the last thing I'm going to add is that beer foam pouring out on a side. And then I'm going to erase all this right here. And here are 2 of my beer mugs. And again, yours can look totally different. It's all good because as we all know, beer mugs come in different shapes and sizes. So there is a lot of variety of beer mugs available in the world. So I'm sure there is one like you painted and like I painted. So it's all good. Now, guys, give me thumbs up once you have the sketch. And then we're gonna move to coloring. We're gonna move to painting our wood board and our background. I just need to know when you're ready for it. So I'll give you all a minute. When you have it, give me a thumbs up and we'll move. Just let me know in chat. Say good to go, I am ready, and so on. All right, I see lots of thumbs ups. That's good. What I'm drinking, actually, this is a Radler. A grapefruit Radler that is green, and it's delicious. All right. If we are ready, we're gonna move to our background. Now, if you guys have pre-mixed brown, please use it. If not, we're gonna mix our brown. So because I'm using only primaries, I am going to mix my brown. So, and if you're using primaries, put all the colors on your palette. All right, so here are all my colors. So now I'm gonna mix brown because I don't have pre-mixed brown. If you do have pre-mixed brown, you can just chill for a second. So how do we make brown? And I'm gonna be using medium brush to make my brown. So how do we make brown? We start by mixing equal parts red and yellow, or equal-ish parts, similar amounts. So I'm gonna grab some yellow here, scoop it, then add some red, about the same amount, mix them up. And then to that mixture, I'm gonna start adding black little by little. So not a lot. Add a little bit of black, mix it in. If it didn't turn brown, then add a little bit more and so on. But you see in my case, it turned brown right away. I actually could go a little bit darker and add a bit more black, but not too much. So it's just red, black, and yellow. Mostly red and yellow with black added little by little in the end. So you see it turned into brown. And for those who are wondering, I'm using student grade acrylic paint. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna wash out this brush, by the way. And I'm gonna grab my large brush, the biggest brush that you have, dip it in the water, and we're gonna wet the whole canvas. Only because I'm using fairly big canvas and I need to cover the whole background. And it's much, much easier to do that if your canvas is wet. So that's why I'm gonna grab my big brush, I'll dip it in the water, and I'll wet the whole thing. Now, if you guys are using paper, you don't need to do that. And also, if you are using a smaller canvases, let's say you're using 8 by 10, you don't need to do this either. It's not gonna be a mistake if you do it, it's totally fine, but it's not really necessary because you're not gonna have a hard time covering your background either way. So you don't need the step. And as you notice, I'm going right over my pencil and my pencil stays in place where it was. So it's all good. You don't have to avoid your pencil lines. You can go right over them. And if you guys were sketching with paint, in that case, if your paint is still wet, of course, avoid the paint section. So you don't want to go over your painted section if your paint is still wet. All right, I have that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make very light beige. So I'm going to scoop some white on the side with a wet brush. Make sure you're using quite a bit of water. And then I'm going to add a little bit of brown to it, not a lot. And I'll mix up this nice light beige color. And with this color, I'm going to start adding horizontal brush strokes all over my canvas. And as you can see, I'm going right over my beer mugs, and you can still see the paint through. That's because my paint is quite watered down right now because A, my canvas is very wet, B, my brush is wet as well. So it's quite transparent. It's not solid. And if it's a bit more solid for you, water down your paint. That way it's more transparent and you can see your beer mugs through. And I'm going to continue going down with that. And I'm dipping my brush in the water, as you notice. Every time when I run out of paint, I would dip my brush in the water first before I go onto my canvas. So I'm going to continue adding that. So this is our backdrop. So this is not fully done background, but it's a start of it. Now, once we have that, we're actually going to move on to our brown. So on the same brush, I'll wash it off. I'll dip it in the water, and I'll grab just a little bit of that brown, and I'm going to flick brush stroke here and there. Do you see? I'm not doing as thick of a coverage with this color, as I'm more just adding a stroke of brown here and there, and I'm breaking up my background, the evenness of my background with this darker brown. And you should do this right away because it's so much easier to blend it and have more of a blended look when your first color is still really wet. So once your first one dries, you can still do this, but it's harder. It is easier to do it while it's wet. So just continue refilling your brush with a little bit of brown whenever needed, and add a couple brush strokes very lightly. So I'm just lightly scraping the surface of my canvas. I'm not really rubbing it on. I'm not pushing hard either. Very lightly brushing it on. All right, so here is my background that looks like a woodboard. When you guys have it, give me thumbs up, and then I'll show you what's next. And cheers. So this is the first step. We're there. Here they are side by side. All right, I see good, that's good. How's everyone else? All right, I see lots of thumbs ups. One moment, no problem. We can wait a moment, no rush, guys. If you have, by the way, if you have hair dryers, I know sometimes people have hair dryers ready. Now would be a good time for you to hair dry your painting. If not, that's okay. I wouldn't be drying mine, so it's not a problem. But if you do by any chance have hair dryer nearby, go for it. Okay, so now let's divide this into actual boards. You see how there are a couple lines here that divide this big into wooden boards. So how are we going to do this? I'm going to use my medium brush again, and I will use just the top edge of my medium brush, and I will add 3 lines here. So I'm going to grab lots of brown, dark brown. You can even use black, but I personally like dark brown a bit more here than black. So I'm going to grab dark brown, and using the top edge of my medium brush, I'm going to add line right in the middle. You don't want it solid. You want it more like a broken up line. Do you see? It's somewhat. It's not solid, not the same thickness all the way. It has certain areas that are more broken up, certain areas that are a bit more visible, and that's what you want. You want that unevenness of the line. And after I have that line, I'm going to divide. So that was right in the middle. Now I'm going to add one more line right in the middle of the top part and right in the middle of the bottom part. And I'm gonna add just a little bit of the super dark color on the very top because there will be next line there, right? So I want to darken up that spot just a little. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the very bottom. Down, down, and down. All right, guys, after that, we're gonna move on to our beer. And we're going to start with light yellow. So we're gonna make 2 shades of yellow, but light yellow. Sorry, not yellow, 2 shades of green, but light green first. So I'm gonna grab the same medium brush. I'll dip it in the water and I'll mix my light green. How I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna start with yellow. So I'm gonna scoop some yellow on the side. Then to that yellow, I'm gonna add just a tiny, tiny little bit of blue. You don't want too much blue because it's gonna turn dark really fast if you add too much blue. So just a little bit of blue and some white. I'll make it just a touch darker. And you see, it's nice, light-ish green, like a grass green. And with this color, I'm gonna go onto my mugs and I'm gonna add vertical brush strokes here and there. Plus, I'll add a couple of brush strokes on the handle. And you don't really have to color the whole thing. You can leave some spaces uncovered because we're trying to make this glass a bit more transparent, right? So if you have certain background coming through, that's actually a good thing here. So I added a couple of brush strokes on the handle, and now I'm gonna add a couple of brush strokes on the actual mug. And also notice, I'm not gonna go into this white area. Do you remember where we're gonna have the white foam falling down? Don't go with green there. And I'll do the same on the other one. Do you see I'm just adding a couple of brush strokes, not filling it fully. So that's my first green. And right away before it dries, I'm gonna add my second green. So I'm gonna mix second green, which is gonna be the same. You can even use some of it as a base. Just add more blue to it, so it's gonna be darker. You see, this is my second darker green. And with this one, I'm gonna add more brush strokes to the beer mugs. And do you remember those inner designs that are made? I will flick some of this darker green into those designs to make them more visible. And then you can add a brush stroke here and there wherever you want to. or just a touch of it on a handle as well. Just a little bit. Now I'll do the same thing on the other beer mug. I'm going to start with those designs. I'm going to flick it from the bottom up. And then I'll go around and I'll edit in a couple more spots on this beer mug. All right, both of my beer mugs are filled in. And as you can see, there are still certain areas that are not fully colored that you can see background through. And that's a good thing. That's exactly what we want, because we want our mugs in the end of the day to look transparent, because they are made out of glass. They're not green. It's the beer inside that gives it this green color. So that's why leave some areas uncovered. It's going to be good to have some background coming through. And again, when you guys have it, give me thumbs up so I know that we're ready, and I'll show you next steps. Okay. Happy birthday! Yay! Okay, guys, if we have our beer mugs, let's move on to our clover leaves. So we're going to use the same dark green, and I want to put one that has 4 leaves on top, and I want to add a couple 3 levers on the bottom. So I'm going to make that dark green again, which is just yellow and blue. For this one, you don't even need to add white. And we're going to add this 4 leaf on top. So each leaf is going to look like hearts. So I'm going to start by putting 1 heart. Don't make it too big. Remember, you're going to need to fit 4 of them in here. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to be using my medium brush. But if you prefer to use small brush, it's even better. You might find small brush easier to deal with, actually. So I'm going to start by putting 1 heart. Then I will add heart on the opposite side, like a mirror version of that. And then I'll add 2 on the sides. And once I have all that, I'm gonna color it in. And I will add a little flick from the end here. So you can add from the bottom, from any end really. You just need to have a little flick for the stem. Yeah, no worries guys, the video is going to be up pretty much forever, so you can do it any time that works for you. Now I'm going to add a couple of them in a row right here on the bottom part. So I'm going to put the biggest one right here just because I have the most space in this section, and then a smaller one here and the 2 really small ones there. And those are only going to have 3 leaves, not 4. So I'm going to start by putting one here. Again, I'll start by putting heart. And then a heart on a opposite side. And a heart in between. And after that, you can color them all in. And of course, a stem. So I'm going to flick from the outside in using the top edge of my brush. So this is the biggest one. Now I'm going to add a slightly smaller one right here. It's not going to be much smaller, but it will be a little smaller. And of course, I'm going to add the stem as well. After that, I want to add a couple more smaller ones right here. You can add as many as you can fit, completely up to you. If you want to add just 1, it's fine. If you want to add 2, it's fine. If you want to add 3, that's okay too. And see which brush suits the size the best. If they're really small, use a small brush. If not, you can use a medium brush. I'll add a really tiny one here. Maybe one more really small one here. Okay, I have quite a few. I'm going to stop. I don't want any more of them. But technically, you can add as many as you want. If you want way more than that and extend them all around, go for it. Now after this, I want to move to my pot of gold. So I'm gonna go back to my brown. If you guys have some brown still, grab them. Grab it. If not, you can make more, which I will do. I'm gonna make more. I don't have any more brown left. So again, I'm gonna start by mixing red and yellow, about equal parts, and then little by little, I'm gonna add black until it turns into brown. And once I have that, I'm gonna add my pot. I will add it somewhere here just because that's where I have a good chunk of space. You can add it anywhere where works for you, preferably on one of the sides. And I'm gonna start with a line. Put a line, and then I'll put like a circle underneath the line. Do you see? And I'll color that in. And then after that, I want to add gold inside of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some yellow, mix it with a little bit of white, and I'm going to start adding circles. So here, you see like that. And they're going to be overlapping each other. Until I have a good mountain of gold coming out from my pot. And then I'm going to stop. And after that, I'm going to move to the rainbow. So there's going to be a rainbow coming out from this pot of gold and going all across the sky to the other end. And we're going to break the rainbow for the clover leaves and the beer mugs. And I'm going to start with yellow just because why not? I already have that color. So I might as well start with it. So I'm going to grab the same yellow mixed with white that I just used for the gold. And I'm going to add a line. And it should be, remember, this yellow is the middle of the rainbow. So don't put it too high up because you're going to run out of space for the other colors. And don't put it too low down because you're going to run out of space for the other colors. It should be in the middle of your rainbow. So you can start somewhere in the middle and just bring it to the sides. And you see I'm breaking up for the beer mug and the clover leaf. Done. Now I'm going to go towards orange. So choose the same color. I'm going to add a little bit of red. Make it orange. And with that orange, I'm going to add a line right above the yellow. Again, it's a flicky line. Doesn't need to be perfect. And again, we're going to break up for certain areas. We're not going to go over our beer mugs or anything else that's on our way. We're going to break up for those things. And after that, I'm going to move to red. So I'm just going to grab straight red, not mixed with anything. And with that color, again, lightly, I'm only using a little bit and I'm lightly brushing it on. I'm going to add another line right above my orange. So just dry brush it on. You don't want it to look like blobs. So don't use too much paint and don't push too hard. Just light touch and dry brushing. And now we have yellow, orange, red. Now from yellow, we're gonna start working to the bottom. So we're gonna do green, blue, dark blue, purple. So again, I'm gonna make my light yellow. So I'm gonna grab some yellow, mix it with a little bit of white. And now to that color, I'll add just a little bit of blue to make that yellow, that green. Do you remember that green we used earlier? That light green, that's what you want. That's exactly the color that you want. So if you still have a little bit of that one, you don't even have to mix it. You can just use it. If not, mix it again. And with this nice light green, we're gonna go right underneath our yellow. Then we're gonna move to light blue. So again, I'm gonna wash up my brush. Grab some white. Add a little bit of blue to it. Make light blue. You can even make light teal if you want to. And with that color, I'll add a brush stroke right underneath this light green. The last color on this rainbow, I'm going to make actually two more colors on this rainbow. I'm going to make slightly darker blue. I'll just add a little bit more blue to this color to make it a little darker. And I will add that again, lightly brush it underneath my light blue. And then the last one is going to be purple. So to the same color, I'm going to add just a little bit of pink or red to make it purple. And that would be my last color on a rainbow. I have my rainbow. And now I can give you guys some time to do this. I'll give you a couple minutes. Let me know when you have it. No rush. And also, once this video stops being live, once it's recorded, you're going to be able to pause it as well. Or even now, while we're still recording it, right, while we're still live, you can rewind back and rewatch certain section. YouTube allows you to do that. So if you need to do that, feel free to just rewind and rewatch certain sections. Yay. I am glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, so I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Let me know when you're ready and let me know if you have questions. All right, I see a thumbs up. That's good. How is everyone else doing? All right, guys, and after this, I'm gonna move to white. So I'm gonna grab some white on my medium brush, and I'm going to color in this beer foam with white. And now it's starting looking really nice. After that, I'm gonna switch to small brush and I will adjust a couple of highlights onto my beer mugs. Again, highlighting the design of it. So a couple of brush strokes right here, do you see? And a little bit of a glare onto the handle as well. And then the same thing on the other one. And this is pretty much just the glare to show off the beautiful shape of our mugs. And then I want to add just a little bit of highlight onto the other elements as well. So the clover leaves. And of course on a pot of gold as well. You can add some on actual individual gold coins and on the pot itself as well. So this is what it looks like right now. And after that, I'm gonna add lots and lots of black details all over everything pretty much. So I'm going to start again with our beer mugs. So I'm gonna grab some black on a small brush, and it's important that you water down your black for this because it's much easier to work with more liquid black. I'm gonna add a little highlight. Do you see? Those lines are really uneven. They're not like a one thickness kind of line. You can even add them only in a certain spots. You don't even have to add them everywhere. But make sure the line itself is very uneven. And yeah, it's going to be like a flick here and there on a beer mug, wherever you want, really. Including the inside as well. And I will even add a couple spots around them. So following along the shape. So this is the shape of my beer mug. I will add a couple little flicks. See, around, following the shape. Just make sure they're really nice and fine. You don't want to have any, they're too thick. Do you see? All around my beer mugs, just a little flicks following the shape of my beer mugs. So now I'm going to add the same kind of highlights on all the leaves. Just a flick here and there on the outline first. And we'll do stems, just a little flick on a stem. And then I will add a couple flicks around the same way that we did with mugs. So just following the same shape. Only where there's space. If there is no space, don't add them. They're not necessary. They're more like space fillers for where you have too much space around. Guys, feel free to rewind this video. If you need to rewatch certain sections, it is available for rewind. And the video is going to stay on YouTube absolutely forever. So you can watch it as many times as you need, any day that you need. And also, there is no way for me to know if you need another minute unless you ask for it. So if you need another minute, you can say, can I have a minute, please? And I will be happy to give you a bit more time. And I want to add a bit of outline to the pot of gold here. So again, just in black, couple flicks. And the handle. And black details on all the gold in a pot. And this is what it looks like. All right, how is everyone doing? Yay, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. All right, guys. And I'm going to add a couple more brush strokes in black. So I'm going to grab my small brush and a little bit more black. And I will add a couple swirls. So all my swirls are going to be pointy. They're going to be coming from here, and they're going to have the swirly part right here. So I'm going to start here. You see, swirl, bring out. Now I'm going to add one more. Swirl, bring out. Yeah, black is a tricky color. Now I'm going to do swirl here as well. Swirl, bring out. And one more. Swirl and bring out. So here are my 4 swirls. As you can see, they're not the same, and that's a good thing. They don't need to be the same. As long as they work for your space, that's all that matters. And now I'm gonna add a couple more brush strokes on the background. I'm gonna start just around my swirls. Remember how we added flicks on the background? So I'm gonna do something very similar, just around swirls. A couple of those flicks. And if you want to add a couple more brush strokes on top, you can, but it's not completely necessary, so you can skip that. The only other thing in black that I want to do is, do you remember those lines that divide our wood board background onto 4 pieces? I want to add certain areas of them in black, not the whole line, just see where it works. For me, it's going to be mostly around the edges. I'm not going to go through my beard, but I will add a flick closer to the edge. So from here in, and from here in, flick. Same thing on all 3 lines. From the sides, even right over that pot of gold. You see it looks more, again, broken up into a board. And now anywhere else that you want. Again, I probably wouldn't put it on the beer mugs themselves. Maybe right here, just a little line. Maybe right here to break it up a bit. You can put it over the leaves, just not over the mugs. And if you want to, you can add a bit of that to the top and the bottom as well. All right, this is what it looks like. And of course, you can customize it however you want. So if, let's say, for example, you did this way, and you want to add maybe a gnome somewhere right here, or buy the pot of gold, you can do that absolutely. You can add more leaves, less leaves. You can add other elements, whatever you can think of technically, you can add it here. Now, what happened if you messed up a section of it? How would you fix it? For example, let's say I really don't like this leaf. Just don't like it, need to get rid of it and redo it. Well, you're gonna need to wait until it dries. That's one, very important. You have to wait until your painting is fully dry. And then after that, you're gonna need to mix that color again. So you take brown, you take some white, you mix them up, make something similar, and you cover that up. So you make colors that match your background. And with a large brush strokes, you cover them up. Now, what happens if it doesn't match perfectly? That's okay, you can still roll with it. Now, what you need to do is you need to incorporate that color into other elements of the into the other areas of the background. So let's say you made a color that's similar but not exact. Yes, color in the spot, don't worry about that. But also take this color, this new color that doesn't match perfectly, and add a couple of brush strokes. If you see any empty areas, add a couple of brush strokes there. That way, this one little spot is not going to be like a sore spot on your painting, right in your face that it's different color. The color it's not gonna look out of place because you will have another sections in the painting that will also have a little bit of that color. So it will look more intentional. It's not gonna look like you made a boo-boo and then desperately try to fix it. So, but ideally you want to match it perfectly. But again, if you don't match it perfectly, just a couple of brush strokes on the empty areas. And wait until it dries and then redo it again. And you can do that with any element on this painting. Wait until it dries, cover the background, repaint the background if you need to repaint the element, and then you can do it again. And again, if you need to add anything, go for it. You can add candies around, you can add a gnome, you can add more gold, less gold, you can add gold falling off, you can put Bitcoin sign on your gold, whatever you want to do with it. And guys, if you want to share your photos, share your paintings with us after you're done, you can do that by taking photo and posting it on event page on our Facebook, the event page for this event. That way everyone who participated can see how it turned out. And the last thing that's very important for you to do here is sign it. So grab a small brush, choose a spot, put your name or your initials or anything else that you feel like is a good enough signature for you. And also, if you haven't done your edges, you see I haven't done my edges. What you could do, there are two options for you. Option number one, you can color match it. So again, you make a couple different shades of brown and you color that edge with that brown. And that way it will look like it's a wooden board from every angle, right? When you hang your painting, it's gonna look like it's fully finished. You're not gonna have those weird looking unfinished edges. Now, if you don't wanna bother with mixing any more colors, just take either brown or black and paint all the edges with that color, either brown or black. And that way it just look nice and finished. And again, it's gonna look really, really good when you hang your painting. And that is pretty much it. Now, I'm gonna stay with you guys for a couple more minutes. If anyone has questions, feel free to ask them. I'll be happy to help you with what I can. And if you weren't able to do this today and you wanna do this some other day, feel free. The video is gonna be right here on our Facebook page. It is, sorry, not a Facebook page, YouTube. And it's not going anywhere. So you can do it anytime. And also after the video is done, after we're done doing live, you're gonna be able to actually pause the video. And I know a lot of people find it very helpful and prefer to paint from a recorded video because of that option. So keep that in mind. All right, any questions, concerns, suggestions? Anyone looking for suggestions? All right, if you guys don't have any questions, I'm gonna let you finish in peace. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Cheers, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I hope to see you again. Bye, guys.